Hello everybody, I'm Jackiekcooper, and my entertainment rundown today is 3 movies you might have missed. These are movies that don't get wide distribution, but I'm going to bring you a review of them anyway, so you can look them up, possibly hunt them out if they serve to pique your interest. The first movie I want to talk about is a movie called Mrs. Lowry and Son. And this is a movie based on the life of an English painter by the name of L.S. Lowry. He started painting in the 1930s, and the film shows him. He lives with his mother. His father is deceased. He works for a company collecting rents, but he paints in his spare time, takes some art classes in his spare time, and he is portrayed by Timothy Spall. He is an actor whose face you would recognize. He's had minor roles in a lot of movies and a few lead roles, but he is not usually a lead actor. His mother, Elizabeth, is played by Vanessa Redgrave, and Elizabeth is bedridden, partially bedridden. I think the character could move about if she wanted to, but she prefers to stay in her bed. And of course, he goes off to work, leaves her something to eat, comes home at night, fixes her meal, keeps her company, and all she does is complain. She complains about his life, she complains about her life, she complains about what their life should have been, that she should have been part of society. She criticizes his paintings and says it's a waste of time, that they're worthless, they're no good. And the whole movie is this character study of these two people, mother and son, and their, on her part, adversarial relationship. I mean, she just will not give him a break on anything, but he is drawn to painting. And he gets little glimmers of encouragement from the outside world, but he has very little contact with the outside world. But as any chance that she gets, she says, you're wasting your time, they're ridiculous, people are put off by them. Nobody who has an ounce of sense would ever think that there was any talent there. But this film is like a master class in acting. I mean, when you come to these two performances, Timothy Spall and Vanessa Redgrave as Lowry and his mother, their interaction is just amazing. They never go out of character. They are caught and locked in to these characters, and it is a fascinating, fascinating thing to watch. So if you get a chance, look this film up. It's not rated, but I would put it in the PG category. I think there was a little bit of mild profanity in there. Maybe not, but that's what I remember. I scored it 7 out of 10. The acting in this is so intense. I know it has to appeal to a specialized market, people who just love to see good performances. Because like I say, this is a character study. There's not a lot of action. It's just the dialogue that these two actors throw back and forth between themselves. But it fascinated me. So like I said, it gets a 7 out of 10, and I would urge you to see it if it comes in your area, or if you can look it up and find it on some outlet where you can watch it. That's Mrs. Lowry and Son. Then there was a film called The Wrong Todd, and this film hooked me just because of its uniqueness. It's about a guy named Todd, played by Jesse Rosen, and he has a girlfriend who is played by Anna Rizzo. And they have a good relationship going until she announces that she has been offered a good job in Seattle. They live in the New England states, and she's been offered this job in Seattle. And he does not want to go. He likes his hometown, Providence, Rhode Island is where he lives, and he's happy there. And he says no, he does not want to go. He'll try to make their relationship last through a commute, and she's upset because he didn't give her, time for them to discuss it before he said absolutely no. Well, that sounds like a simple enough film, except one day, after they've talked about this move, he is confronted with a guy who looks exactly like him. And he said, "Who are you?" And he says, "I am you." His name is also Todd, and he is perfectly resembles the guy that is there. And he is from another dimension. And he has come to Todd, the real Todd's current dimension, to replace him. And he manages to ship Todd over to the dimension where he came from, and he takes Todd's place in the real world. Yeah. It's a good premise. I mean, it's because this guy, he's back in another dimension trying to convince somebody that he does not belong there, and they think, "Oh yes, you're Todd, and you're having a nervous breakdown or whatever." So I really liked the gimmick of the story, but it looks like it was cheaply made. There's no actors in it. Like I said, Jesse Rosen, Anna Rizzo, Sean Carmichael, Aaron Rose. You never heard of any of those people. I never heard of any of those people, but they do a good job of telling this story. But again, it looks like they almost like, "Hey, let's get together and make a movie." But they made a movie with a good plot, and one that held me all the way to the end, because I wanted to see how this thing was going to work out. So maybe it will pique your interest too, if you want to look it up. The Wrong Todd. It's not rated, but I would put it in the PG-13 category because there is profanity and there is violence. I scored it 5 out of 10. I mean, a movie like this, that is this raw looking, it would probably fall in the 3 or 4 category. But the story is so good, and the actors are competent. They do, their part in making you believe this story of this guy who somehow ended up in another dimension and has somebody in the real world taking his place. So if you get a chance, you might want to look it up. The Wrong Todd. And then finally, we have a movie about ghost hunters. Those guys we see on television who go into the supposedly haunted houses, and find ghosts. Well, this movie is called Portal, and it's about a group of ghost hunters who are looking for that real, true ghost experience that they're going to record and become famous. They are actually looking for the real thing. They don't want to use any tricks or any gimmicks. They want to have the true ghost experience. And they get information about this house where a terrible murder took place. A man killed himself, his wife, and his daughter. One daughter escaped, but they go there because that's such a heinous crime, and they think that the spirits, of the people who were killed may have lingered, and they can, find out. They're warned off by a Native American who says, that's, ground that should not be tampered with, that is, there's real evil that exists there, and he tries to warn them off. But they are determined to go there, and while they're there, they find out a way to open a portal to the spirit world. And then you can imagine what happens after that. But anyway, if you like that kind of movie, it's simply made, basic story, etc. It's not rated, but I would put it in the PG-13 category for profanity and violence. It's there. I scored it 4 out of 10. The cast, which includes Ryan Merriman, Jamie Tisdale, Heather Langerkamp, they do their best with what they're given, but this is just so basic and so done before and overdone that I could only give it 4 out of 10. So you might want to look it up, you might not, but that's my take on the Portal. But you've got all 3 of those movies, Mrs. Lowry and Son, which I definitely recommend, The Wrong Todd, which is better than I expected, even though it's just overall an average film, and this movie, Portal, which is a little below average at 4. All right, that's what I've got for you today. Reach down there, hit the subscriber button, because we want you as a subscriber for all of our video reviews. But for today, this has been my entertainment rundown on 3 movies you might have missed.